In my last Fear and Hunger video, we talked about Lagarde, who is a character that I love. Now we're going to talk about a character that I really dislike. And it's not because he isn't well written, it's not because he's a bad character. The reason I don't like Kahara is because he represents a lot of people that I know in real life. And I know that sounds a little far fetched, so we're going to dive in here. So, what we learned about Kahara from Dreaming in the Tower is that he fell in love with a prostitute. Now, right off the bat, you might say that gives him character or that gives him some flavor. I disagree. I think actually it makes him pathetic. And the reason that I say that is that even when I first played the game, my first impression of reading the dialogue between him and his wife, in quotation marks, is that his wife does not give a gaff about him. And she is just using him for whatever money he's willing to give her for the next ride. And the fact that she is pregnant and we don't even know if it's Kahara's kid, and they have no way of knowing, not like there's a DNA test, that's another factor of insight into this man. Just like a pathetic, sniveling loser, basically, who gets with a prostitute because he cannot find a woman who loves him for who he is or finds him attractive. He has to go for a woman who takes payment for the fleeting pleasure of, grinding your body together. It's disgusting, really. And it's, let's not sugarcoat it. Any man who lives like Cahara is just disgusting. Something else about Kahara that I think says a lot about his character is his S ending. Now, with the S endings, I think it's fair to say that they represent the truest desires of the characters. So, for example, Darcy's S ending reveals kind of her obsession with Lagarde. It's an unhealthy obsession. It is love and it is lust, and we can tell that there's an unrequited factor there, but she really does love Lagarde. It's true love. And that motivates her to create this demonic beast in her S ending, just because she's so destroyed by the death of Lagarde. And that really goes to show how much better of a character, or maybe not that, that's the wrong word. That goes to show how much better of a person Darcy is. How much more noble, how much more worthy of respect she is than Cahara. Because in Kahara's S ending, he gets rich by happenstance, not because he was a great strategian, not because he was a great thinker, but because he went to the dungeons and he lucked out and he found some treasure. He even fails to save Lagarde, which was ostensibly the reason he went to the Fungeons in the first place. So he fails at his primary mission and becomes rich off of chance. That's not a person who is worthy of respect. And then, of course, in his S ending, we get this photo, which kind of perfectly encompasses the sort of person Cahara really is. We get his wife, in quotation marks. She's prowling around. Obviously, they've just been intimate. And he's holding a sword that he got from the Fungeons. And we're told in the text crawl that he is suffering from nightmares and he has PTSD. And the baby is nowhere to be seen, obviously, because Cahara doesn't care about the baby, really. It's one of these endings that really shows how similar Cahara is to people I've known in the modern day. And maybe more specifically, let's say young men that I've known in the modern day. He's a guy who has no ambition, no talents, really. I mean, he's the most useless character by far. He has no plan when he goes into the dungeons of fear and hunger. In real life, if we were being realistic, he would just be one among hundreds of corpses in the dungeon of fear and hunger, because he's just so unprepared. And he does all of this, risks his life, goes to the dungeons of fear and hunger, all on the whims of what? A prostitute? With a kid who you don't even know is yours. He's literally the dad that stepped up. He's the stepdad. And you have to ask yourself why a character like this is so liked by people. And I think the answer is that people see themselves in Kahara. Young men who have no ambition, who have no purpose in life, who have basically been told that men are evil patriarchs who ran an evil empire for, thousands of years until the modern day and feminism could save everyone. Those guys see themselves in Cahara, and they say, wow, he's just like me. He's pathetic like me. He's aimless like me. He would risk it all for a prostitute like me. And at the end, there's a lot of poignant writing about how, I'm talking about Kahara's S ending here. There's a lot of poignant writing about how he can't move on from the dungeons of fear and hunger. He can't get over it. And you have to ask yourself, why can't he get over the dungeons of fear and hunger? The reason he can't get over it is because the dungeons represent his potential. There was so much that he could have done in the dungeons of fear and hunger, instead of just find some treasure that would leave him hollow, that would leave his life completely meaningless and absent of purpose. There was so much more he could have done with his life. He could have saved Lagarde, or turned him in even, maybe become a soldier after doing that. He could have reached for enlightenment like Enki does. He could have learned the secrets of the universe in the dungeons of fear and hunger. He could have helped the little girl ascend and become the god of fear and hunger. There's so much Cahara could have done with his life. And that also goes for the people who see him as some kind of hero or see him as someone to emulate. There's so much you could be doing with your life if you just tried. If you just stepped outside of your comfort zone and did something for 100 days. If you went at it every day and gave it your all, you could make something out of yourself. And in the end, I think I want to just summarize this whole thing by saying Cahara is a pathetic excuse of a man. He's by far the worst person, a person you should never emulate, a person you should never respect, a person you should never look up to. And Cahara is by far the worst character in the first game. And I think it's not even particularly close. In any case, sorry I was so negative this video. I didn't really want to set out to make a negative video. Next, we'll be talking about Darce. And Darce, I really like. I think Darce is an amazing person, amazing character. And this is what happens when Lagarde isn't willing to, control his bitch. He's not willing to go in there and do what's necessary. She was literally fiending to hop on that guy. She wanted him. She was in love with him, man. And how could you not? I mean, look at the guy. He's every woman's dream, supposedly. Or women have told me that. No, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Guys, I'm not gay. Look, women have told me he's very hot. And because of Darce's S ending and because of her attraction, I think that's objectively true. It's really sad to see that Lagarde didn't give her attention, that he could have given her a chance. I think they could have been a power couple, really. He could have let her ascend too. Screw it, why not? But we'll discuss all that in the next video. Thank you for watching my video on Cahara and why he sucks so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.